Hey guys, Wayback Rewind here. Today I'm going to take another look at my Sony TRV-510 Digital 8 camcorder, and the reason why is that I finally have one that works. It took a while to find one. Many of these cameras from 1999 are broken, but I'm going to show it to you and then demonstrate it and give you some sample footage. Coming up next, here on Wayback Rewind. Packaging gets very high marks. Never seen this much packaging. It's inside a bag. It was inside a box, and they still gave it some additional packaging. Here we are seeing the camera for the first time ever. Here we are, the TRV-510. Hopefully a working version of my first digital camera. Visually, it's in good shape. This is my original camera with the little stickers that I put on to cover up where I scratched it up on my trip to Japan. Here we go. There's the new one. There's the old one. And the new one. Before I power it up, let's see what else we got. The Sony brick with the plug. It's an American plug, that's a good sign. Let's see what else is in here, if anything. Literally nothing else is in here. I spoke too soon. There's a lens cleaning kit. What, if anything, in here? Oh! Couple of tapes, brand new, and an empty. That means there's probably one in the machine. This feels like it might have something in here. It's hard to say. Oh, definitely. Definitely. You have a remote. A very sturdy AV wire. Not exactly sure what this is. A very conscientious owner. They recorded the serial number and the purchase date. This is from '99. No surprises there. So I got all the accessories. Now, with no further ado, we're going to power it up. Alright, we're going to power it up and see what happens. First thing we're going to do is get it ready for power up. We're going to go to VCR mode. First thing, let's see if we can eject the tape. That's a good sign. There was a tape in there, and it did eject properly. Before I do that, let's take care of some housekeeping. This switch is a little wonky. I discovered mine was that way. If you blow on it, it tends to get better. And that did help. Tell you what, let's go into camera mode, see if we can set the date. Oh, stupid me. I went into camera mode and it was completely dead and I was freaking out. But I forgot about this stupid switch over here. It was in lock. I need to go to standby. And then it powers up. Powered up. Now I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. Clock set. Let's see if we can set the clock. Starts at 1998. Clock is set. It's been a long time since I've used this camera. Forgotten how the menus work exactly. Does have night shot. One of the most popular questions I get. I guess there's a lot of spies out here in the world always looking to do night shots. Alright, it's the moment you've been waiting for. Let's see if we can load a tape. Been a long time since I've seen this operate. It's in 5-second mode. Let's turn that off. It's in standby. That's a good sign. And we have a picture. That's a good sign. The whitey tidy is working. Kind of. It's a little wonky. I might need to blow in there as well. That actually seemed to help. Not quite as wonky. Some 25-year-old dust in there. Before I erase whatever's on this tape, let's go back and see what's on this tape. Does not appear to be anything on this tape other than a brief, whatever that was. Got lots of battery power. Stamina. 731 minutes of stamina. It looks like something was recorded here very briefly for like a few seconds, and that's about it. I'm now recording. Wide, tight. All right. Let's go back to playback mode. Rewind a little bit. Play. Tight. Tight. Wide. Tight. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to declare this camera as officially works. I now have a working version of my TRV-510. It's been almost 20 years since I've had a working version of this camera. Now that I'm over my excitement, I'll give you a tour of it. So here we have a working version of Sony's TRV-510 from 1999. This is a brand new to me camera that I just unpackaged, but the original camera I bought back in 1999 as my first digital HandyCam. It was to replace a broken Canon A1 digital, which was my primary camera at that time. I replaced it with this digital 8 camera, and I continued shooting on tape for several more years until that camera broke. I want to go over the features of this camera as it exists right now. So it has the VCR camera switch and then off in the center. This even threw me off a little while ago because when you put it in camera, then this switch over here also puts it into standby, or in lock position. It basically turns it off, which is kind of weird. But when you put this in standby, in camera, it will then power up. This camera has an external display, which I'm not really sure what that's useful for. This broke on my old camera. Display can give you battery status and position on the tape. This camera also has a 4-inch screen, which is kind of rare for handycams. I believe this is the only Sony HandyCam that ever had a 4-inch screen. It's not a touch screen, unfortunately, but it is a 4-inch color screen, and it also has a color viewfinder. A color screen and a color viewfinder was very rare on any camcorder of any kind. I believe this is the only Sony camera that ever did that. So given that this is not a touch screen, the menu is accessed from this button here. You press this button, and then you have this circular ring, which tends to get a little wonky on all of these. You have to kind of blow on it to get the dust out of it. The transport buttons, you have to go into VCR mode, and then all of these transport buttons light up like an old school VCR. Record is interesting because you can actually use this as a VCR. Over here you have a nice collection of jacks. You have a headphone jack and a microphone jack, which in and of itself is kind of rare on camcorders of this era. Underneath this door, you've got the S-video, regular video, and stereo audio. It also has the little power jack so you can plug in the RF modulator. One of the few things that manufacturers agreed on back in the 90s was having this video and audio and power jack so that you could take these little RF modulators. Now, this is a Canon unit, but in an amazing spirit of cooperation, this Canon unit will plug into this Sony. When have I ever said those words on here? That this RF modulator will plug into that jack, and now I can hook this directly to a television, an old school television that only has a VHF input. Just when you think you've seen everything, underneath this little door is the FireWire, the DV in out. I tell you, in 1999, DV was an amazing thing. You could take this and plug it into your 1999 computer and do digital editing for the first time ever. The TRV-510 was the first camera that I was able to do that with. And then even more amazingly, once you were finished editing, you could print it back to the tape. Nearly lossless. The DV codec is very, very light compression. In doing a second or third generation, it's virtually lossless, which was a huge improvement over trying to edit analog tape back in the 90s. So this was the first camera that I was able to do that with. This camera also was one of the first digital cameras. If I put this in memory mode, you see 0 of 33. This was before memory cards of any size became practical. So there is no memory card. That's all internal memory. And then you have to plug into this digital I/O port, which is a completely non-standard 3.5 millimeter plug. And that would plug into your computer, and using some proprietary software, you would be able to get the pictures out of the camera. One of the first digital camcorders. I just took a picture. I have no idea how I'm going to get it out of there. That is what's stored in the memory. It's a picture that I just took. It's complaining about the battery being run down. Anyway, let's address that battery while we're here before I forget. This battery is a little thicker. This is a 2032. What came out of there was a 2025. So it's a little bit thicker. But I'm pretty sure I can jam it in there and make it work. So let's go back to standby. I was going to show you some of those digital effects. Okay, it took me a minute to remember how to get into the digital effects. You press the digital effect button, and then you have to use the scroll wheel to go still, flash, luminance, trail, slow shutter, old movie. I guess old movie's the last one. Let's just see what old movie looks like. Oh, you have to press the button to make it effective. Old movie. It doesn't actually add the scratches. It just makes it kind of color bad. You press this button again to turn it off. slow shutter 1, slow shutter 2, slow shutter 3. That's kind of like a night effect. Trail. Trail's kind of cool. Luminance. You can kind of take a still. You can take a still, and then that still is kind of burned into the screen. It's kind of cool. Let's see what flash is. Flash is kind of like a skips around. You can kind of adjust how much. You can turn this to adjust how much. It's kind of cool. And still, you can take a digital still and just hold it on the screen for however long you want to hold it on the screen. So those digital effects actually appeared in analog cameras around the same time frame, but given that this is a full digital camera, those effects are even easier to implement. So those are the digital effects. Some of the camera setup, you got digital zoom. You can only turn it on and off. A lot of newer cameras, you can determine how much you want. 16 wide. It does have a widescreen mode. It's just cropping. Steady shot. I'm going to turn steady shot on, of course. Nightshot light, I want that on. And speaking of nightshot, last thing I'm going to show you is the nightshot. Turn off my lights here. One of the most common questions I get is, does it have nightshot? This camera does have nightshot. So you can see the nightshot light brightly illuminating whatever it is I'm shooting. If I put my hand over the nightshot light, you can see it's still pretty good, but it's not quite as bright. And that's nightshot. won't go hungry here.
Esqueça o seu sofrimento, vamos cantar essa curar, fazendo-nos alegria, mundo novo parece viver. Gostou que nasceu nossos corações, nós damos a certeza de que a mais um dia ainda vamos forçar. Já foi um grande seca e de um doconite e vai matar no bolo da cara odoro Urushimi wasure Saburo no pai osa Sekara utamo Karashimi wasure Vamos cantar a hora de utamo Laya 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 Ekimatsu no Yoru mo Santa Seki
And so there you have it, the Sony TRV-510 from 1999. It is a digital 8 camera. I finally have a working one. They're very difficult to find working. This is a 25-year-old camcorder. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching.